And welcome back to the WHHI Daily News. Have you ever really looked closely at your electric bill? Actually, I haven't, but there's so many different charges there that we're going to learn about today from Scott Cooke, who is the Director of Communications for the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. There's a webinar tomorrow that will explain everything, but let's just jump in, Scott, and tell us what to expect at, 10:30 in the morning for the webinar, what we can learn.
Yeah, so we're going to go through those bills, and we know there's a couple of different items that may kind of take people by surprise. Of course, we're all interested in our meter and what our energy usage is, and look at that first thing, but there are some other fees on there. Some of them you can't really control, but there may be things like your municipal fee or your franchise fee. Some communities charge those utilities a fee to use those kind of public right-of-ways. So those things might be listed on your bill. You may also see things for different renewable energy resources that are on there. There's a cap of about $12 a year for those, but you'll see a line on there that kind of outlines what you're being charged for those. And generally utilities are using those to kind of create that diverse set of different types of electric programs, might be things for electric vehicles and charging stations and things like that. So they're trying to recoup some of those costs. So you might see those on there as well. And a lot of times we have that basic customer charge or a facilities charge too. That's kind of those things to keep maintaining your power lines, those transformers and those things we all rely on as well.
Right. So we have here in the Lowcountry, we have Dominion and we have Palmetto Electric Cooperative. Of course, there's Duke up in the central part of the state. So are most of the bills similar looking and have all those fees listed, or does it really depend on your provider?
It will, they'll have the same types of fees listed. How much they charge may vary from provider to provider, depending on what they've gone, up in front of regulators and asked for, or what they've been granted. We also know in the upstate, there's going to be a storm recovery charge that's going to start soon where, those providers are trying to get back some of that money from, the devastation of Helene. So those things are things to keep in mind for the future too, and kind of a reminder to keep paying attention to what's on those bills. And when those rate requests come up, if you have, input you want to give to that process, you can go before the Public Service Commission and, let your opinion on those things be known too.
All right. So in the webinar, who's conducting the webinar, and can you ask questions during it, or is it simply just, an output of information for the community?
Yeah, we encourage questions, and we know it's something that we all may not quite understand that much. We have an advocacy division, which is part of our agency, but they go before the Public Service Commission and try to represent the interest of consumers whenever these rate requests go forward with our major utilities, our ones that are kind of, like Dominion and Duke. They'll take those initiatives and kind of go before those and ask questions about those rates and the things that they're going to use those money for. So, it's kind of that part of our division that we take part of.
Well, your role really for the state is to look out for the consumer, right? Look out for the customers, whether it's electrical or whatever service our state is providing. So I think it's great that you all are doing this webinar, and I know you do other educational opportunities for the state.
Yes, we do a webinar every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. And again, tomorrow will be the one that we're talking about the energy bills and what's on them. So we encourage folks to, not only take a look at those, but kind of think about what's on their bill and also what resources their provider may be offering. There may be programs where they'll come out and look at your home and find those places where you're losing energy. Those are great resources too. And I know Dominion sends something to you in an email every month that tells you kind of what your energy is going forward. I know mine, spending a lot of my power usage on cooking and heating and cooling my home. So
very good. All right. So you need to register. What's the website, Scott?
Yes, consumer.sc.gov, and it will send you'll be able to find the Zoom link for that to register for the webinar.
Very good. Very good. Thank you again, Scott Cooke, Director of Communications for our great South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. Thank you, Scott. And we'll be right back with more news. Don't go away.